What is Derbyshire's breastfeeding picture? In this video, we take a wider view to understand Derbyshire's breastfeeding picture. Knowing more about patterns of breastfeeding and inequalities can help you as GP practice staff to target breastfeeding support to your local population's needs. Firstly, let's look at the national picture. If you remember from the last video, the World Health Organization recommends that all babies are fed only on breast milk for the first 6 months. But sadly, in the UK, we have a very different breastfeeding picture. The last UK infant feeding survey in 2010, which surveyed over 10,000 mothers during the first year of their baby's life, found whilst 75% of people had planned to breastfeed their baby, 69% reported exclusively breastfeeding their baby at birth. And by 6 months, this had fallen to only 1%. We know that 8 out of every 10 people who breastfeed stop before they want to. This suggests that whilst many women and people want to breastfeed, they may face struggles and challenges along the way. The Infant Feeding Survey 2010 showed that less than half of mothers were exclusively breastfeeding by 1 week after birth, and this drops to less than a quarter by 6 weeks. And we know that 8 out of 10 women stop breastfeeding before they want to. Comparing our local public health data with the overall figures for England also shows us some differences across Derby City and Derbyshire County. The first feed sets a family's breastfeeding journey in motion. And we know infants who have breast milk for their first feed are more likely to carry on being breastfed. In 2020 to 2021, across England as a whole, 72% of babies had breast milk for their first feed. The rates were slightly higher in Derby City at 73% and lower in Derbyshire County at 70%. By 6 to 8 weeks of age across England, health visitor figures show that less than half of babies are receiving breast milk, including as part of a mixed feeding approach. Rates are similar in Derby City to the England average. But Derbyshire County's breastfeeding rate is significantly worse at 44.5%. As you can see in this graph, rates seem to be increasing over time, but more slowly in Derbyshire. Behind these averages, there are inequalities to be aware of within our populations in Derby and Derbyshire. For instance, women and people who are older or identify as Black, African, Caribbean, or Black British are more likely to breastfeed their baby at 6 to 8 weeks than those who are younger from a white British ethnic background. And those living in Derbyshire's most affluent areas are more than double as likely to be breastfed at 6 to 8 weeks as those living in our most deprived areas. This pattern in the data is the same in Derby City, where breastfeeding prevalence at 6 to 8 weeks maps against levels of deprivation. Of course, it's important to be mindful that these are population averages. And as professionals, we need to make sure that we don't make assumptions based on a person's characteristics. Even if no one in a family or community has breastfed before, every breastfeeding journey is different. And one person can be the start of a new pattern. But hopefully knowing the big picture can guide us into thinking about common barriers or challenges and ways you may be able to support women and people to breastfeed. We'll look at some of the barriers to breastfeeding in the next video to understand why not everyone has an equal chance at breastfeeding. Meanwhile, if you'd like to learn more about breastfeeding population patterns, please visit the links below this video.